so it's been about 3 weeks since my last car video. I don't like to take breaks like that, but I didn't have a choice in this matter. I've been really busy with work. My wife also just started doing something with her schedule that's a little different, so it's been an adjustment period for us, and I haven't really had a chance to shoot videos lately. So hopefully that changes going forward and we can make the time to shoot videos each week. I don't like taking breaks like that. So, all right, so today's video will be a little bit different. I don't normally do reaction videos, but I found this guy's channel. His name is Caden, and his channel is called FullSendSRT, and he's a Mopar enthusiast, and I typically get enjoyment from his channel. He's very enthusiastic about Mopar products, which I do like because I'm a Mopar enthusiast myself. But some of his videos I question. I question some of the points that he makes. In his latest video, he says that the Ram TRX was a failure, and I've communicated with him a few times on his videos, and I told him that I was going to do this video, and he welcomed it. So we're gonna slice and dice his video, and I'm going to take it point for point and respond to his criticisms of the Ram TRX and why he feels like the TRX is a failure. So with that said, let's get started.
But I personally don't like the vehicle. I saw one on the road driving the other day, and I thought it looked really short and ugly.
Short and ugly would not be words that I would use to describe the TRX in any way, shape, or form. It's one of the meanest looking trucks on the road. That can't be disputed. If you want to call it ugly, you know, that is definitely an opinion. I haven't heard anyone else describe it as an ugly truck. Even some of my buddies that are Ford enthusiasts don't call it ugly. You know, that's kind of that's an interesting take to have. But yeah, short and ugly is not the words that I would use to describe the TRX in any way, shape, or form.
This vehicle is about $150,000 Canadian, or about $120 to $130 American.
Okay, so I'm not going to pretend like I understand the economy in Canada. I don't know where the US dollar compares to the Canadian dollar, but I can say that it doesn't cost $120,000 to $130,000 for a Ram TRX in the United States. Unless you go to one of these dealers who have $40,000 and $50,000 markups, it doesn't cost that much to buy one of those trucks. I paid $82,000 for mine when I had mine, and that was with a bunch of stuff that I added on to the vehicle, stuff that I wanted. And I found a fully loaded one that I almost bought, and someone bought it before me that was $93,000, and that was for a fully loaded, completely optioned out one. You can definitely buy a Ram TRX. Definitely not $120,000 to $130,000. So Caden, you need to do some research on that before you start spitting out those figures, because that's legit misinformation. Okay.
They made this vehicle for the off-road. If you take a look at the vehicle, there's nothing sporty about it. It's just a big ass truck.
You're spot on saying it's for the off-road. They didn't mean it for it to be a muscle truck. They didn't mean it for it to be a sporty truck. It's an off-road vehicle. It's a Baja truck. They wanted it to compete with the Ford Raptor. That was specifically why it was designed that way. That's why the T-Rex eats the Raptor under the hood. That's why there are all the T-Rex graphics hidden around the car. It's specifically for that reason. There's no other reason behind it. It's not supposed to be a sporty truck. It is a giant Baja off-roading truck, period.
With the big 3 lights on the front, because it's a commercial vehicle. They needed to put the 3 front lights on the hood.
Okay, so the 3 marker lights doesn't make it a commercial vehicle. Commercial vehicles also have them, but it's because of the width of the truck. It does not make a Ram TRX a commercial vehicle. It's pretty much the people who are buying that truck are doing it for their leisure. It's not something that somebody's going to buy and then take to a job site for the most part. And some people may do that. Those marker lights are not because it's a commercial vehicle. Those marker lights are because it's wider than the average truck. The Department of Transportation requires it to have marker lights because of how wide it is. The Ford Raptor also has it. That doesn't make it a commercial vehicle.
They have the big cage on the back. I don't know what that's called. The big ass. I don't know, man. It's steel. It goes on the back, on the bed.
All right, so a lot of people who drive off-road trucks or off-road rigs, Jeeps, that kind of stuff, they want to put light bars on them. And so the Ram TRX has what's called the Ram bar. The big ass cage is called the Ram bar, and that's to mount LED lights or other accessories for your off-roading trips. It's that plain and simple. It's a $1,400 option, somewhere around in there. Some trucks come with it, some trucks don't. Mine didn't have the ram bar. You don't have to have the ram bar. That is an option. That's not a requirement.
What? Like this isn't really a muscle truck. This is...
Exactly. It's not a muscle truck. It's an off-road truck. It's a Baja truck. It's not a muscle truck, and they never claimed it to be.
This is a off-road, go in the sand dune, go off-roading, but the thing is, no one really off-roads it. Yes, it's a...
No one really off-roads it. According to who? According to who? Ben Hardy jumped his, so did Street Speed. Street Speed destroyed his off-roading it, playing around with it, having fun with it. Where do you get the information that no one off-roads their TRX? That's what it's meant for, and that's what people are using it for. I mean, if you buy a $80,000 to $100,000 truck, you do with it what you want. Whether you want to drive it as a street truck or you want to drive it off-road, the point is, Ford had the Raptor and Ram didn't have anything to compete with that, so they built the Ram TRX to compete directly with the Ford Raptor. That's its purpose. And it's not a failure. They're selling these things like crazy. They can't keep them in stock, which is why there are markups everywhere.
Yes, it's a fast vehicle. Yes, it's crazy. But what I think, in my opinion, guys, again, this is my opinion. Might not be yours, but it is mine. I think they should have just took the Ram Sport.
Okay, so there is not currently an iteration of a Ram Sport truck. Sport is a trim level available on the Bighorns and the Laramies. You can get a Sport package, but it's a trim level. You can get painted accessories, different trim features for the Sport package, but it's not a model truck. There's no lower, drop to the ground, muscle sport truck, which is what you're pretty much saying that's what you want. If Ram determined that there was a demand for that, I'm sure they would do that, but there's not a real big demand for lowered trucks to the ground with Hellcat engines. If you want to do that, buy a Bighorn or a Laramie, put it on airbags, drop a Hellcat engine on it, and call it your Ram Sport. But there's no current iteration of a Sport. They have the Bighorn, the Laramie, the Limited, and the TRX. That you can get a tradesman, but that's a base model work truck. It's that simple.
I think we needed to see a quad exhaust lowered Ram Sport with the big screen in the middle, Sport bucket seats, carbon fiber wheel, carbon fiber guts, and I needed it to be a Hellcat SRT. The TRX.
Okay, so if you want all of that in your truck, then you're going to have to build one. One important thing to note here is Ram and Dodge are separate entities under the same umbrella. You're not going to have what's called a Hellcat truck. Ram doesn't have the rights to use the Hellcat branding, which is why they didn't put it in the T-Rex. Yes, they have the same parent company, but they're treated as two separate entities. They split off in 2012 or 2013, somewhere around in there. That's why you don't see the Ram logo on Dodge vehicles anymore, and why no one calls the Ram trucks the Dodge Ram trucks anymore. They're not the same brand anymore. So you're not going to see the Hellcat badge or the Hellcat logo on a Trackhawk. You're not going to see that on the Ram TRX. The only thing you're going to see Hellcat logos on are the Charger, the Challenger, and for 1 year, the Durango. That's it. If you want to build your own sport muscle truck, by all means do so. But Ram's not going to do it, and they're not going to call it the Hellcat even if they did.
Threw the Hellcat engine in it and made it like the Trackhawk, guys.
And it doesn't need to be a Trackhawk. The Trackhawk is an SUV that people drag race. To compare a Baja truck to an SUV that people drag race, that's an apples to oranges comparison. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yes, it's kind of cool how they made it the TRX eats the Raptor, but guys, it wasn't badass enough. It's kind of like a limited production car that no one really cares about in the future. Sure, they might be...
So, you got your crystal ball out and predicted what people are going to care about in the future when it comes to the Ram TRX. The Raptor's been out for several years now, through 3 generations, and it's still one of the best-selling trucks that Ford has. So what leads you to believe that the T-Rex is a 1-year wonder and nobody's going to care about it in the future? I don't understand that. Also, it's not a limited production truck. Ram has said they will build as many as necessary to fulfill customer demand, meaning they didn't set a limit to 2,000 or 3,000 or 5,000 TRX trucks for one particular year. They will build as many as needed to fulfill all orders or fulfill customer demand. If they need to build 20 or 30,000, then they'll build 20 or 30,000. Now with the chip shortages, that makes it more of a limited production, but not in the sense of this is only going to be a certain build quantity It's just a matter of they're limited by the chip shortage. As the chip shortage wanes, and it will, they'll build a lot more of them and they'll sell a lot more of them. It's not going to go away in the future as you predict, based on it being a limited production. That's just not the case.
That's, in my opinion, why the Durango Hellcat kind of failed as well. It was a limited production vehicle, the Hellcat Durango. It was supposed to be this cool vehicle for $120 to $130. Here in Canada, they were selling for $150,000.
Okay, so now you're talking about the Hellcat Durango, and again, I'm not sure where you're getting this information that the Hellcat Durango failed. As soon as Dodge opened the books on the Hellcat Durango, 2,000 were made available. The allocations were immediately gone. Immediately gone. So much so that Dodge had to reopen the books enough to fill dealer allocations for ones that they oversold. They intended on building 2,000. They ended up having to build a few hundred to 1,000 more just to meet the demand of the allocations because dealers oversold their allotted quantities. I don't understand where you think that the Dodge Durango Hellcat was a failure, because you couldn't just go get your hands on one unless you could find a dealer that had one. Just because in Canada you had a dealer that marked it up to $150,000 and no one wanted to pay that markup, that doesn't make it a failure. I bought one as soon as it became available, and I only paid $82,000 for it. I don't know where you're getting these numbers for these prices, but again, you're off the mark.
But they took forever to sell. No one really cared about them here because it was just a Durango with a 6.2.
I don't understand how you can be such a fan of the Trackhawk and then talk down on the Durango and call it just a Durango with a 6.2. The Trackhawk is just a Grand Cherokee with a 6.2.
If you guys have ever been inside the Hellcat Durango, the interior is pretty bad quality, to be honest.
And the interior of both vehicles are almost exactly the same. The only real difference that I've seen between the Trackhawk and the Hellcat Durango is the Trackhawk is pure leather on the interior, and the Durango is leather and Alcantara, which is suede. And to me, the Alcantara suede inserts make it more of an upgraded interior over the Trackhawk. The 2021 Durango, the Hellcat Durango has the Uconnect 5-screen, which the Trackhawk also has. Pretty much everything else is the same, but then the Durango sits 2 extra people because it has a 3rd row. I don't understand in what breath you can say that the Durango is a failure and it has a shoddy interior while praising the Trackhawk as much as you do, when they're basically cousins. They're built on the same platform. They have all the same options. As a matter of fact, if you watch Throttle House's video, which I'll link down below, the Durango beat the Trackhawk in drag racing twice.
I really think they just needed to take what they did with the Trackhawk, because we need something like that. We don't need this big bulky truck that is going to compete with the Ford F-250s.
So in closing this, the T-Rex does not compete with the Ford F-250. The Ram 2500 and the Power Wagon compete with the Ford F-250. The T-Rex competes with the Raptor, and that's its point. That's what it was built for. That's what Ram designed it for. That's its intent. It's not meant to compete with the F-250. Again, I don't know where you're getting this information. Ram has always had the 2500 to compete with the F-250. That's the heavy duty vehicle. That's more of the commercial truck that you were referring to. A lot of people use those 2500s for towing and commercial purposes. The Power Wagon and the Ram 2500, those are competing with the F-250. The T-Rex competes with the Raptor, and that's it. Chevy doesn't even have an option right now for an off-road truck. I keep hearing that they have something in the pipeline, but as of right now, there's nothing that Chevy has that competes with the T-Rex and the Raptor, period. I like the channel. You guys go check out Caden's channel. I will put a link in the description below for that. His channel is FullSendSRT. He is very enthusiastic about Mopar stuff, but this particular video I took a lot of issues with, so I sliced and diced the video and counterpointed the points that I disagreed with. If you guys like this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell so you get notified for all the videos. I appreciate you guys watching, and y'all take it easy.